via Opera Mobile. I don't know. It was very simple browser, and I used internet basically to access Wikipedia. I love it to access Wikipedia and start reading and studying about different topics. That's it. My experience used to be simple, but it was nice because I didn't have access to a lot of information like nowadays, but it it was useful, you know.
Yes. And what about you, Wanda? Do you remember the first time?
Yeah, the first time I introduced myself to internet is with a Google Word. When I see my house and the planet, Earth planet, and my house again, and everything in Zoom, I get stunned. Oh, how can we do? And then after that, email. Oh my gosh, so interesting to pass an email. Yeah, is that my first experience? It's astonishment.
Yeah. And what about you, Leticia? Do you remember the first time you browsed the internet?
Yes, I remember. I think that I was 10 years old, and I used the internet in that time to play games online. And I remember that the thing that most caught my attention is it was the possibility to chat with people, even distance to them, immediately. And this was very interesting to me in that time.
Yes. Yeah, in my case, I remember too. I think the first time it was that I searched on Google some draws to download it and print to color in the paper, all right? So I think that was the first time. And to play games too. I don't remember the age that I was, but I think probably maybe 8 or 9 years old. So it's the first time that I remember that I used. Not remember before it, but it the memories that I have of the first times. But all right, let's move on to the question number 2. So, Wanda, how fast was the internet when you started using it? Do you remember if it was dial-up, radar, or fiber optics, for example?
Oh, it's so difficult to get internet when it start. We use it to stay awake and just after midnight because the internet in this time it was better. And yes, when everything starts a complication. I don't know if it is about radio, fiber. I don't know about this kind of thing, but the velocity is so turtle.
Yeah, dial-up is the internet de escada in Portuguese, all right?
Yeah,
Uh,
okay. I don't know. I don't remember.
all right. So, and what about you, Leticia? Do you remember how was the kind of the internet when you started using it?
So I don't remember what kind of internet I used, but I I'm sure that it wasn't so fast then it is nowadays. But I remember that it was fast enough to to did things that I do in that time. But of course, nowadays is faster than in the.
Yeah, when I start, I never used the dial-up internet. I started using the radio, and at the beginning it was so slow. Even to, for example, watch a video on the YouTube, for example, it was a challenge because you need to wait the video uh, load a lot, alright, and it freeze a lot of times. Right now we don't have this problem the most of times. Uh, so the internet wasn't so fast, but we could do everything that we wanted. So, but right now the internet is so fast, it's impossible to compare. All right. Uh, I think that's it. And what about you, Haik?
Oh, my first internet experience was horrible because it was very, very, very. I don't know. I just forgot the word now. When something is not fast, slow, the internet
Yeah.
was very slowly, and we had a modem from Claro, and we lived in, me and my parents, we lived for a time in a farm, so it was uh, a dial-up connection, and we had almost two gigabytes per month to use the internet. So we couldn't watch videos on YouTube, because if we watch a video, the internet was going to be quickly, ending.
Yeah.
So it was very, very basic, just doing some searches on Google and access email, and that's it.
Yeah. Thanks. Good. Today it's hard to find a internet provider that you have a limit of how amount you can spend of internet, all right? You pay the internet and you can use all the month. Your internet will not go to the end. But in the past, you have this kind of experience. Right now, we have it with the mobile internet, all right? So we pay and we use, for example, for until the internet go to the end, finish your plan. But when we talk about the internet that is in our house or computer, we can use a lot. It will not finish. But all
Yeah,
right.
and up to now, I have more limit than I use it in the past. Like I have a mobile plan of almost 15 gigabytes of internet. So 11 years ago, I had 2 gigabytes to use in my notebook. So the things
Yeah,
they changed a lot. The perception of how the internet changed our lives.
yeah. In our house, we pay the internet 1 month, and we can use the amount that we want. All right, it will not spend the quantity of internet that you have to use. So that's amazing. All right, let's move on to the question. Everybody already have answered this question, all right? So let's move on to the question number 3. So, Leticia, have you ever had to go to a LAN house to have access to the internet? Do you still have LAN houses in your city?
So I remember that I didn't go to LAN house only for browse some websites. I remember that I went to LAN houses when I needed to print or make a copy of any document. I still didn't have a printer at home. And nowadays, there's a few LAN houses, but obviously is less than in the past, because nowadays almost any people need LAN house, and I think that's it.
Yes. In my case, I already have go to the internet to not to internet to learn house to exactly do what Leticia said, to print, because I I haven't a printer in my house, so I use the learn house to do it. Uh, and usually when I don't have access to the internet or a computer at the house, I go to learn house too, but just for a short period, because after I start frequent the learn house, my father uh, bought a computer and I can start using at home with the internet. And in my city, I think I have one LAN house here, but just with one computer, and I think nobody use it. But exists, right? But I think nobody go to a LAN house to use it, or it's so hard, because in the past we have, for example, 20 computers and a lot of people using it at the same time. And right now I don't see more people going to LAN houses use the computer. All right, and what about you, Haik?
I used to go to houses a lot of times to make my school projects or work schools, you know. So I use it to go to the houses, especially when I didn't have a computer at home, and also to print my papers, my works from school. So it's I have never seen a LAN house for almost, I don't know, maybe 3 years, you know, three. There is a small LAN house here, but I don't think it is a LAN house like 10 years ago, when we had a large space with a lot of computers, and we have to pay uh, for the use of the notebook per hour, you know, like if I want to use a computer for 3 hours, I will pay like 30 reais, 30 reals, you know. So I think that today's
Yeah,
nobody use it like 10 years ago.
yeah, that's true. Uh, and what about you, Wanda? Have you ever go to a LAN house to have access to the internet? And do you
Yeah.
still have LAN house in your city?
Yeah, when I was traveling, I used to go to went to Alan House to pass an email for my family, and I used here in Brazil. I used to go to Lan House to pick up my son. He loves to go to went to Lan House to play games with many friends of him, and I remember to bring him in Lan House all weekend.
And do you still have LAN houses in your city?
No, no, and more.
Yeah, that's, I think in the most of the cities it's hard to find a LAN house right now.
Yeah, it's changing because everyone have a mobile phone, a laptop, yeah,
Yeah,
a
and when
tablet.
you haven't, probably a family, one person of your family have it, right? But in the past it's not common.
Yeah.
Uh, all right, everybody have answered this question, so let's move on to the question number 4. So How did you feel when you had internet in your house and didn't need to go to a LAN house to use it, for example? Uh, I feel so comfortable because we have uh, internet in all of our devices right now, not just in computer, but we have on the smartphone, and I think it's the better thing because we can use the internet in all places that we want with a mobile uh, a mobile device, and that's amazing because we don't need exactly to have a computer with you or go out to your house to do something. So, for example, to print a project because right now, for example, in the university we don't print more project. It's everything in the cloud, right? It's everything digital. So that's one of the good things about the internet too. So I think that I feel so comfortable to have internet access in our houses and don't need to go to LAN house. And what about you? Hi.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think it's totally comfortable uh, nowadays. And because, LAN houses didn't work 24 hours a day. So like if I wanted to use internet like Sunday 4 p.m. it was very difficult because probably the LAN house uh, it was closed, you know.
Yeah.
So I enjoy the experience of LAN house of being together with another people and to play video games online. It was very funny, but was not comfortable because the LAN house was uh, distant from my house.
Yeah, that's true. With internet in our house, we have the internet uh, available all the time, right? But when we depend of a LAN house, we have a limit of hour that we can frequent the space. And what about you, Wanda?
Yeah, I follow you. It's totally comfortable now and health, I think, because the LAN house that I saw, there is many smoking guys in a small place, and I think it's not health um, to get smoking, a passive smoking. And now is health and comfortable and secure for security too, because many thieves in the past stay awake when the people go out from LAN houses here. I mean, Rio de Janeiro is like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
nowadays it is so good.
yes. And what about you, Leticia?
So, as I said in the last question, I used it to go to LAN house because I needed to print something. And of course, when I got a printer, the things got easier. And I think the same about internet. The things got more useful, comfortable, and I think that this saved my time a lot.
Yes. All right. Let's move on to the question number 5. So, hi, does your work or studies depend directly on the internet, or could you run them without it?
I totally depend on the internet because as I am a lawyer, I have to access my emails. I have to to participate in online meetings with my coworkers and also with my bosses. I have to do a lot of searches, like study. So without internet, I couldn't even work, So that's it. Without internet and without, a light energy at my house. So that's a good point and also a bad point. So if I don't have internet, I I can do anything, probably. What about you, Jean?
All right. And what about you, Wanda?
Yeah, for me, I'm a dentist. Dentists don't need to internet to work, but my schedule is in Google Agenda, and for studies, congress, and another course, I need all the time the internet. Yeah, I can't think about living nowadays without internet.
Yeah, that's true. And what about you, Leticia?
So I think that I don't depending directly because, for example, I go to college in person, but I depend on internet to keep studying when I'm not there, when I am at home, for example. So I depend in a way that I depend.
Yeah. Me too. I work as software developer, and I hope I work as a remote job. So I depend directly on the internet. Without the internet, I cannot work. Uh, and still study too because I study software engineering at the university, and we basically programming all the time, and we need the internet to do it. So I cannot work and study with the internet. So if I lose the internet connection, I cannot work and cannot study. So yeah, we have good points and bad points, as Heike said. All right, let's move on to the question number 6. So, in recent years, have you experienced the situation of being without internet for a few days at home? Do you believe you could go to the next 7 days without internet, Wanda?
In my home, no. It's hard because my son lives abroad and I need to get connection with them. And but I used to stay 10 days in a boat for a scuba diver. And in this boat don't have internet, don't have any connection. And only sea and scuba diver. It's really interesting. In the first day, all of us is like a addiction is out the drug. And when pass the days, we don't want anymore stay with the internet, so such a connections. It's an interesting feeling. We can change our opinion in 10 days.
Yes. Uh, so in my case, as I said, I cannot stay without internet during the periods that I'm working and studying at the university because it all depends of the internet. So I cannot spend uh 7 days without internet. But I usually try to uh, get out of the internet, social media, the most of time. Just one day per week to don't being receiving notifications or things like that. For example, in the Sunday, I try to turn off my smartphone, my laptop, notebook to uh, go out of the internet, right? Of course, I use in the TV, for example, to watch something, but to try to go out of this kind of screens that I use all the time. And in the recent years, I experienced the situation of being without a fast internet connection because my provider have some problems. But as I need internet to work, I usually the mobile plan, all right. But of course, it's not the same thing. But I don't remember a time that I spent a few days without internet. Right now, it's so hard to me. And what about you, Leticia?
So I haven't experienced this situation in recent years, but I think that I could go through the next few days without internet. Obviously, if I didn't need it, but I think that I could do this, and I think that's it.
All right. And what about you, Hai?
And it's been very difficult to me to be disconnected from the internet from the last months. Also, I was talking with my girlfriend about this yesterday, and she told to me that it is going to be, healthier if I have a time per week or every day to be disconnected, because as I said before, I spend almost all my day in front of a screen, a notebook. I think maybe almost like usual, because I, as a lawyer, I have a lot of work to do, so it's difficult sometimes to be disconnected. And also, as I said before, I use internet to work, and I just noticed that I was connected also to in my free time. So if you think about it, it's like I am almost addicted to being connected, and I'm trying to discover new experience to not get in front of a screen, my smartphone, a notebook, no, to relax or to discover, because there is a world outside my screen.
Yeah.
I'm talking like an addicted to the internet, but it's just an observation that I made.
Yeah, I think I'm not addicted to internet too, but for example, I work 8 hours per day using the internet, and after it, I go to the university at night, and I spend more 4 hours using the internet and the computer in front of a screen. So it's almost half of a day, right? It's 12 hours per day. And after it, for example, if I use my smartphone in my free time or using the laptop to play or to watch something, so I spent more than 14 hours per day using the internet or using a screen. So I think uh, even if you are not addicted, it's not healthier if you just do it and don't go out or practice some sports. So because it, I try to practice sports every day to go out of the screen zone and don't think and work or study and don't be in the front of a screen. And to me, it's so good. All right, let's move on to the question number 7. So, Leticia, how has wireless internet made your everyday tasks easier? In which equipment do you use this type of connection the most?
So I think that this made my everyday tasks easier because it makes these activities faster and more accessible. So because we can share informations, contact the other people, we can do a lot of things in a faster way. And I use this thing on my cell phone almost all the time on my cell phone and on my laptop too.
All right. So, and what about you, Haik? I think you were muted.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the question number 7? How has wireless internet made your everyday tasks easier? In which equipments do you use this type of connection the most?
Oh, wireless internet made my my everyday text much, I'd say, easier as the most successful way, because before my internet was slowly, and also I didn't had the access of the information I have now. So it's very useful. Like Wanda said, I also use Google Agenda to 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 schedule my tasks, my travels, what I have to do in the week. And I think the equipment that I use, it more is like my smartphone and also my notebook. My notebook I use for work and study, and cell phone especially for entertainment, also through social media and watch series. That's
Yes.
like this.
Uh, to me, it's the same. So it helped me a lot because we don't need cables to use the internet, right? And with this, we can access the internet for the most of the equipment that we have at house. So it's easier because the my computer it's here in my bedroom, but the router it's at the other side of the house. So it's so easier because I don't need cables to access the internet and to access the internet of the smartphone too at the smart TV. So these equipments I can access in all uh, areas of the house without cables, and that's for me it's so easier than in the past. And of course, with the wireless internet, I can go uh, out with my smartphone at the street and using the mobile plan, and I have internet connection at the street too. And at the university, because I can use my laptop in all the campus, in all parts of the university, without cables. So I think that's amazing. And for me, it's so good when you can use uh I can use my computer in all areas of the university. That's amazing. And I love the Google Agenda too. I'm not addicted on the internet, but I'm addicted on Google Agenda. I usually plan my weeks using this too. All right. I think everybody have answered this question.
No,
No, Wanda?
not me.
Yeah.
In my case, I used to easier my work, like my patient explain to me one pen. He take a photo for the teeth, and I see, and I demand him to go to the clinic to take radiography. This radiography came to my mobile phone, and I can do a prescription for the pen. It's so easier nowadays. It's really good.
Yeah, that's true. And do you use, in which equipment do you usually use the wireless internet?
Mobile phone is the most interesting because I walk and I saw the radiography from my patients. It's so interesting. Yeah. So
Yeah. That's true. All right, let's move on to the next question, the question number 8. So, Heik, in your opinion, what are the advantages of many devices and appliances having internet access? Can you point out any disadvantage?
I think the principal advantage is to access information and to be connected with people that are important for myself when I want and when I need it. In my opinion, the disadvantage is that the problem of being disconnected, because every place that I go, I have to, to share this, to share my location, or to communicate with my parents, with my girlfriend, with my friends. And as everybody's using internet, it's hard to separate a time and be disconnected. But that's my opinion. That's my point of the disadvantage. So advantage, information, being connected. I can learn things. I can entertain myself. I can search what I like. Disadvantage is the difficulty to separate time and be disconnected.
Yeah, that's true. I have this difficulty too. And what about you, Leticia?
So I think that advantage is the fact that you can keep contact, you keep connect with all things at the same time and control it. But I think that a disadvantage, for example, is the same as the fact that everything is connected, and if you lose the connection, it can affect many things. So the connection is advantage and a disadvantage.
Yeah, that's true. Uh, I think the advantage is that, for example, when we have access internet in different devices or equipments, we can automate some tasks and build, for example, smart homes. That's so common today because we have internet connection in different mobile phone, laptop, or for example, smart TV, and you can control these equipments with the voice, for example, or you can link the data that are transferred uh, in these equipments too. So I think it's one of the good points. We have different equipments with the internet connection, and we can control it remote, for example. So I have here in my house lights that I can turn on or turn off without being at the house. All right, I can control it by my smartphone, for example, and that's good sometimes. But as Leticia and Haik said, if I lose my internet connection, probably my light will start turning on and turn off so crazy, and I lose the control. All right. So that's one problem when we are totally connected and we lose our connection. And what about you, Juan?
I
What do you
think
think?
that I think that maybe this is a problem of our generation, you know. For example, my parents, they they don't have the same problem as me.
Yeah,
Not only because they don't work with the things that I work, but for they like, oh, they can separate time and it's connected. I think that's maybe because a problem of our generation that we grew up uh, also learn a lot of things in internet, and it's almost came to be a part of, of our lives, you know.
yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's one problem of our generation because, for example, my grandma and my grandpa don't use internet for nothing. All right, so they can live without the internet and without problems. But right now, us totally depend of the internet for some tasks. But for example, if the internet ends right now, I will be totally affected, but my grandma and my grandpa probably will not affect a lot, all right? But what about you, Wanda? What do you think about this question?
Yeah, I think the advantage is too easy our task. Like I said, in my clinic, it's totally necessary because of the tomographies and radiographies comes to my laptop in the same time that my patient take this kind of thing. And disadvantage, yeah, disadvantage is addiction, I think, because you stay all the time in front of a screen and you don't get some bath. You need to get some bath because of D, vitamin D is so important for us, and many other things you need to get off of the screen and to live the life for health, for mental health, for body health too.
Yeah, that's true. Our timing is going to end, but I think we can answer the question number 9. So, Leticia, do you believe that the internet is one of the humanity's greatest inventions? Why?
Of course, I do, because the internet make all things around the world connected, not only people, but information and systems. So, of course, it's one of the greatest inventions of humanity, I think.
Yes. And what about you, Wanda?
Yeah, of course I do. It's the changement of our life. Everything changed before internet. Yeah, for the good, for the bad, but everything is changing.
Yeah, that's true. I believe too. I think the internet is one of the greatest invention because everything is connected around the world. Uh, all the devices, all the we have the internet network, all right. So I think probably the internet, if not the great, but it's one of the greatest inventions of the humanity. And I think that's great because it's so complex the how the internet works. But it's so easy to use, all right. So I think because it's amazing. And what about you, Heike? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think it's one of the greatest humanities inventions because it's nowadays internet is part of our lives, and I think that internet facilitates a lot our life, especially to learn and to be connected with other people. Without the
Yeah,
internet, I couldn't participate on Talk and Talk. I couldn't access the courses that I like, watch the movies that I like. I wouldn't be able to shopping, you know.
yeah, that's true.
I love doing these things.
Yeah, and without internet, it's harder than with the internet, alright? Guys, unfortunately, our timing is going to end, but to finish, I will send here a survey link, and with this link, you can share if you like or dislike this topic, and what topics do you want to talk at the next weeks. All right, I will prepare the material. I will write the questions and try to find a video about the topic that you suggest, and I will prepare everything to us discuss about technology at the next week. All right, so you can share here if you dislike or like this topic and what about you wanna talk at the next meetings. All right, and I hope see all of you at the next week here again to talk about technology. All right, nice to meet you, and I hope see all of you again here.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thank you.